Here are a few of the weirdest kidnapping scams. Number 9. Lauren Lorenzetti. Lauren Lorenzetti is a former Brazilian beauty queen and influencer who appeared to have it all. Then, her house of cards fell on top of her, exposing a decades-old secret. Lauren staged her own 2010 kidnapping with her then-boyfriend and friends. In April 2010, Vanessa Bassini received a phone call straight out of her nightmares. Her daughter, Lauren, had been kidnapped. First, the would-be kidnappers wanted about $500 in ransom money for her release, but then it was quickly up to nearly $40,000. When Vanessa called the police, they got spooked, demanding that the police be removed from the situation or they'd hurt Lauren. What Vanessa didn't know was her daughter, her friends, and her boyfriend were the ones on the line making these demands. Lauren left when the stakes got too high and called her mom from a nearby payphone, asking her to pick her up. Lauren went on to win Miss Renescenca 2012 and Miss Parana Popularidad 2013, and she thought she'd gotten away with everything. However, police arrested Lauren for extortion over a decade later, a charge that comes with a 6-year prison term. To make matters worse, Lauren was pregnant when they took her in. Number 8. Karol Sanchez. Plenty of kids don't think their parents understand them, but a few rarely stage a kidnapping to get their point across. That's what 16-year-old Karol Sanchez did when she learned her parents wanted to move back to Honduras. Karol wanted to stay in the United States to be with her boyfriend, so she arranged for 2 males to abduct her while walking with her mother in the Bronx, New York. As they whisked her away, the men pushed her mom to the ground while 2 more men waited in the car for a quick getaway. The police jumped into action but couldn't find any leads. After an Amber Alert and days of news coverage, Karol walked back onto the scene shaken up and turned herself in. She confessed to the whole thing, admitting she planned it because she thought her mother was overprotective and she wanted to spend time with her boyfriend. Karol clearly didn't think that all the way through when she faked something so dangerous just to prove a point. She wasn't charged for her role in the fake kidnapping, but hopefully learned that young love isn't worth a criminal history. Number 7. Vincent Oggero. Vincent Orggero was out with some friends when he thought he'd play a prank, but he never thought his idea of a joke would lead to charges of filing a false police report. The 19-year-old was at a Texas restaurant, but when it came time to pay the bill, he left the staff a terrifying surprise. A message that said he needed help. He had been kidnapped and gave them a number to call. Stunned, the restaurant contacted the police and an investigation was quickly underway. It didn't take long for police to feel suspicious. The surveillance footage showed a regular dinner with friends. Vincent didn't appear distressed and the group had only left 10 minutes prior. Once the police found an address tied to one of Vincent's friends, it was only a matter of time before they tracked him down. After a few near misses at apartments in the complex, police finally found Vincent at a party, and he quickly confessed. It was all a joke. Vincent just wanted to prank his friend, and it was all a big misunderstanding. Except, Vincent admitted he knew the police would be called when the restaurant found the note. He was slapped with charges and released on a $5,000 bond, aspiring to prank, more appropriately, another day. Number 6. Brandon Souls. Jobs come and go, but a criminal record can last forever. 19-year-old Brandon Souls learned that lesson and then some when he decided to fake his own kidnapping rather than go to work. Brandon was found gagged, roughed up, and bound by the side of the road in Coolidge, Arizona. He told police that he'd been kidnapped by 2 men looking for money his father allegedly hid in the town somewhere. They knocked him out and drove him around before ditching him at the side of the road. But the video surveillance told a different story. There was none. Despite having text messages, there was no evidence to back up Brandon's claim, and that's when his story fell apart. It turns out, Brandon did it to himself. He stuffed a bandana in his mouth, bound his hands with his own belt, scooted around on the ground to get dirty, and then he just waited to be found. Everything had worked according to plan until the police started to do what they do best: investigate. Brandon staged the entire thing to avoid going to work, but now that won't be a problem. He was fired from the job and pleaded guilty to reporting false information to the police. What was his job, you wonder? Could it be so bad that faking his own kidnapping was the only way to get the day off? Brandon worked at a tire factory in Coolidge, and he probably wishes he had just called out sick. Number 5. Patty Hearst. Patty Hearst was a celebrity in her own right. She's the granddaughter of publishing mogul William Randolph Hearst and was kidnapped in 1974 by the Symbionese Liberation Army, a small extremist group in the United States known as the SLA. 3 armed strangers took the then 19-year-old from her Berkeley, California apartment. They left her fiancé tied up in the apartment as they carried her off blindfolded to the trunk of a car. 3 days later, the SLA called a Berkeley radio station, stating they had Patty as a prisoner of war and demanded the Hearst family donate $70 to every person in need who lived from Santa Rosa to Los Angeles. The Hearst family complied, donating more than $2 million worth of food, but the SLA wanted more. What would follow was a series of strange occurrences where Patty participated in armed robberies and answered only to the name Tanya. She said she joined the SLA of her own volition, but when Patty was eventually caught, she backtracked, claiming that the SLA brainwashed her. Regardless, she still had to serve time for her crimes. This only scratches the surface of this bizarre case, so be sure to check out the full video here. Number 4. Katie Sorensen. Going viral can be a blessing and a curse, and no one knows that better than Katie Sorensen. The aspiring influencer turned to Instagram to share her story of attempted child abduction after police refused to help her. She gained thousands of followers, millions of views, and months later, a criminal record. Katie said she was shopping at Michael's in Petaluma, California, when a man and a woman followed her around the store. At one point, they even commented on how her children looked and followed her out, only leaving after they realized they weren't alone in the parking lot. Terrified, Katie filed a police report, but they did nothing. That's when she turned to social media, which was the beginning of the end for Katie. Her story changed. The couple didn't just talk to her, instead the man tried to snatch her stroller. That elevated the case into an attempted abduction, and during the investigation, it turned out that's not what happened at all. The other couple was simply shopping, and Katie made it all up. So who was this mystery couple? Sadie and Eddie Martinez were questioned by police as they admitted to being the couple shown in the photo and store surveillance footage. But they found it funny because they have 5 kids. Why on earth would they try to steal Katie's? They did grow concerned and upset that Katie would make up such a horrible story about them. No witnesses nor footage could corroborate Katie's story. Katie was charged with giving false information to a police officer and a police dispatcher, but the jury is still out on whether or not justice has been served. For Sadie, she wanted Katie to be charged with a hate crime. Number 3. Susan MIZE. In 2008, 17-year-old Susan MIZE went from aspiring model to aspiring inmate when she set up her friend to be robbed, all while painting herself as the helpless victim. It all started innocently enough. Susan called 20-year-old Preston Berry to give her and a friend a ride from Spring, Texas to Houston. She even offered him $150 to do it, but as they say, no good deed goes unpunished. Things went downhill quickly when Preston arrived. Just as he picked up Susan and her friend, another 15-year-old male approached the car. Preston thought he had a weapon, was afraid for his life, so he did what they told him. The kidnappers roughed up Preston. They even took him to an ATM to get more money out. This is where Susan's part of the story ends. After the ATM, he dropped Susan off at home, and because she was the mastermind, she never called the police. However, Preston's quick thinking saved his life. He told his attackers that he had more money at home, but he quickly ran inside, locked the doors, and called the police when they arrived. In the end, Susan and her friend were charged with aggravated robbery for the plot, and Preston learned a crucial lesson: be careful who you trust. Number 2. KARLA VASQUEZ. 32-year-old KARLA VASQUEZ learned the hard way that the truth is always better than lies. She cheated on her husband and then faked her own kidnapping to cover it up. After KARLA got off her shift bartending at a local adult entertainment club, she called her husband David in a panic to say 2 men were sitting outside their home. When he got home from work, KARLA, their car, and the men were nowhere in sight. Terrified, David called his wife, who informed him that she'd been kidnapped. He quickly notified the police, who wasted no time looking for KARLA. A few hours later, police found her driving the car, the same car she said the kidnapper stole. Under pressure, KARLA's web of lies unraveled. She had not been kidnapped. She just didn't want her husband to know she cheated on him. KARLA faced charges of faking a crime, which could carry a fine of $1,000 and up to 1 year in jail. Her husband obviously found out about the infidelity, so hopefully KARLA learned her lesson that honesty, no matter how hard, is always the best policy. Number 1. Kidnapping phone scam. We've all gotten calls from an annoying phone scammer. According to the FBI, there's a new scam in town, and it might be the most frightening one yet. Attackers spoof your loved one's phone number to call and say they have been kidnapped. You'll hear some crying and scuffling, someone that's clearly in distress before the would-be kidnapper comes on the phone to demand money. Transfer whatever total they tell you. No one will get hurt. Don't, and they will hurt your loved one. In a panic, you may be tempted to transfer the money. It seems like a no-brainer, especially because it came up on your caller ID as their actual phone number. No matter how terrifying it may seem, this is the latest phone scam. It's preying on your adrenaline to override your good sense and transfer the money without thought. Some who've fallen victim to this scam said the person on the other end thanked them or said God bless you. If you find yourself in this situation, try to keep calm and text your loved one. Chances are someone is trying to make a quick buck off of you. Click here to watch one of these next videos.